buddy. I hope I'm not intruding. Oh, your skin looks really good today. I guess being out on the surface really helped out, huh? Or is that not the case? Anyways, I wanted to talk to you about Summer Mary's kit for the battlefield. For the summer, Mary of Seraphim has decided to take up a sniper rifle instead of her typical shotgun. This makes her our 9th Tetra sniper that's been made available to you. She's a water-coated burst 1 unit with a 20-second cooldown. Her burst increases water-coated allies' attack by 23% for a surprisingly short 3 seconds. Furthermore, it has the additional quality of increasing the max HP of allies by almost 30% of Mary's final max HP for about 10 seconds anyways. I'm sure you already noticed, but she is a very burst-oriented unit, with her only cooldown being how long you can rotate from full burst back to burst 1 again. Both passives require 3 total bursts in order to reach their full potential though, with her first skill requiring her to enter full burst while her second skill requires her to enter her own burst. Please keep that in mind. Her first skill, Seaside Sunshine, provides a good amount of heals for your entire squad, based off of Mary's final max HP. At max, it tops off at about 11% applied over time over 5 seconds. Her second skill, Wade's Kiss the Feet, only targets water-coated allies, and remember, it's only activated when she herself enters burst. With this, she buffs water-coated allies' damage against water-vulnerable opponents for a limited amount of time. Activated once, they get about a 21% boost for 3 seconds. Activated twice, they get an additional 14% for 5 seconds. Activated 3 times, they get another additional 8% for 10 seconds. In short, Mary can heal 11% of her final max HP. She provides a 44% damage boost for her water-coated allies against water-vulnerable opponents, and said water-coated allies gain a fantastic 23% increase in attack during her burst. So now, let's get to the important part. What can she do for you, Commander? Well, when you're up on the surface, this really won't win her any stars since she'll be facing a bunch of different raptures. Unless you're specifically targeting an opponent that has a water-coated weakness. Otherwise, I think you should go for a Burst 1 Nikke that's already been invested in. If your team already happens to be water-coated, then why not throw her in? At that point, I think she'd make a decent replacement for Leader if you're just aiming for the attack buff. Although, I don't think you can compete with Leader with all the other buffs that she has. Let's see... I suggest you utilize her mainly for content that specifically requires or favors element-specific Nikkes, like interceptions or raids. This is especially prominent since recent variants of Tyrant-class Raptors have been seen to adapt to protect themselves from every element but the ones they're weak to. We at the Arc have to be wary about this types of stuff soon, so it might be good to have her. Ultimately, the decision is up to you whether or not you want this type of unit in your arsenal though. She won't be a necessity, but I think it'll be good to have her for those long-winded battles. Alright, so shall we talk about team comps now? Since she has a 20-second cooldown on her burst, that opens up a flex spot for what you think would be best to suit your team. If you need another burst 1, although I don't recommend it since you want to proc her burst as much as possible, I suggest bringing either Milk or Ludmilla. Both Nikkes don't require to enter their burst to make full use of their abilities. Milk provides an additional 32% attack increase for your 2 highest attackers, and also provides an 11% crit damage buff whenever she's above 80 HP, which can be sustained by Mary. For Ludmilla, she provides some debuffs to the target hit by her last bullet. She's also a bulky taunter when she enters full burst. Therefore, your water-coated Nikkes can get more damage in combined with Ludmilla's debuffs, making her great for boss usage. I wouldn't recommend stacking Summer Mary with Dorothy though, since most of Dorothy's kit requires her to activate her own burst to make the most out of it. Unless you want her for the burst cooldown reduction, then you'd probably want to combine her with Viper for fast energy production, and Privity for EX Magazine, proccing Dorothy's skill 1 more often. From there, you have a flex spot for a burst 3. If you have none of these Nikkes, N102 is just overall a solid buffer that is still water-coated if you want to stick with the water theme. Although, you'll be missing out on N102's attack buff on her burst. Let's move on to burst 2, shall we? Your best option would either be Viper or Makima. Unless you want to have a 1-2-2 formation, these would be your best options for water-coated allies. Makima is a solid choice since she has the Indomitability skill alongside a taunt. Combined with Mary, Makima is able to sustain herself even after Indomitability is used up. Personally, I would prefer Viper since she can provide a good defense debuff against the enemy, causing the water-coated attack buff to go crazy. Also, like I said before, good energy production. Lastly, we have our Burst 3 units. Privity and Helm are probably our best options here, as Privity is overall a good unit to use, especially if you're bringing in Ludmilla, providing fast debuffs during full burst, and Helm can double up on the healing, ensuring your team is constantly topped off, plus the bonus of her interruption part buff, crit rate buff, and attack buff. You can use Brit, Vesti, or even Neve if you have them, but there will be caveats. In short, Brit is a selfish unit, providing nothing additional to the team aside from raw damage for herself, which is lessened when she's not topped off at 100% HP. Vesti requires an additional unit to speed up burst cooldowns since her burst shortens full burst stun. And for Neve, although good for bosses, can probably be replaced by a better DPS of a different element. Now remember, you're not only limited by water-coded units when using her. I just wanted to discuss the synergies that make up most of her skill set. If I lost you at any point of the way, here's the basic rundown. Summer Mary is suited more towards interceptions and raids, especially with the increase of Raptures who are able to resist attacks from all other elements except the ones they are vulnerable to. With a water-coded team, her addition is very much welcomed as she acts as both as a healer and a massive buffer. Bring her up to the surface, there will be times when her skills cannot be utilized to their fullest due to the variety of Rapture types. If you need a buffer and a healer, then be my guest, but otherwise, if you're just looking for buffs, it's probably better to swap her out for N102 or Leader for general buffs. Anyways, I hope this was insightful, Commander. Do you have any questions? I'm afraid I can't answer that. Or at least in detail anyways. But I can't tell you my name. It's Annie, by the way. Looks like I have to get back to work. Hit me up if you need any more help with your Nikkes. I'm always on blah blah. The Arc is cheering you on. Annie in and out.